so we can all stare at each other's belly button.
No mind.
So to while away a few moments here, I went to a comedy routine recently where there was a hypnotist as part of the routine. And they were trying to develop an improv troupe. So they were going to interview some people and then move on. So as part of the interviewing process, the hypnotist hypnotized a dozen people and had each of them lose their belly button. Then they had to find their belly button. And that was hysterical, just watching them. And then he would interview them. So what are you looking for? My belly button. Did you have it when you got here? I think so. And one person was very upset that he couldn't find his belly button.
It's amazing that people can really be hypnotized.
I know.
I've never seen something.
I know.
Like that. It's kind of scary.
Yeah, I wasn't willing to put myself under that spotlight, you know.
No, you're not. So it's 1:30. I'll call the meeting of the McHenry County Zoning Appeals to order. Today, the subject of our hearing is application number 2023-036. It's a renewal of a conditional use permit 13-26 for earth extraction and mining. The applicant is Powell Gravel and Excavating. The address is 11203 North US Highway 14, Harvard, Illinois. It's 78.751 acres. And again, located on the west side of US Highway 14, about 2,000 feet south of the State Line Road in Chemung Township. There's several pins as part of this application. They are 01-11-200-001, 01-12-100-009, 01-12-100-007, 01-01-376-08, and part of 01-01-376-014. At this time, I'll have members of the board introduce themselves with the name of the township in which they reside, starting on my left with Mr. Gers.
Tom Gers, Coral Township.
Bob Cozen, Algonquin Township.
Charlie Eldridge, Richmond Township.
I'm Linnea Kuster from Alton Township.
Vicki Gardner from Nunda Township.
Kurt Schnabel, Riley Township.
Jessica Beverly, Door Township.
This petition has been reviewed and the following items have been received prior to today's scheduled hearing. The publisher's certificate of publication from the newspaper is dated October 14, 2023, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of posting was signed and the date posted was October 14, 2023, and thereby meets ordinance requirements. The affidavit of mailing was signed and date mailed was October 11, 2023. And thereby meets ordinance requirements. The survey has been checked against the petition, legal notice, and publication in the newspaper, and all three match. The filing fees have been paid. The endangered species consultation was not required for this petition, and the Soil and Water, McHenry County Soil and Water Conservation District report has been received. At this time, anyone who will be speaking or petitioner, witnesses, any member of the public that would like to speak, I would swear you in at this time. So if you're going to be speaking, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly affirm that the testimony you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
And I think you wanted to waive reading of the legal
I
decision.
do.
Thank you.
So seeing as we have no public here, I don't feel the need to recite how the proceedings were. So we will just turn it over to the petitioner and your attorney, and you can go ahead and present your testimony.
Absolutely. So for the record, Elizabeth Bittner on behalf of the petitioner. This is a petition.
Could you speak into the microphone?
Sorry. Elizabeth Bittner on behalf of the petitioners. This is a conditional use permit that has been in existence for quite some time, since 1991. And as you've heard off the record, the use for this parcel has been earth extraction and mining for time much longer than the conditional use permit has been in place. My clients are seeking an extension of that conditional use permit for earth extraction and mining this afternoon. It is, as was read onto the record, approximately a 79-acre parcel that is currently situated where it is zoned A1 with a conditional use permit in place. The conditional use permit allowed for the crushing of asphalt and concrete, as the 2013 petition, I believe, provides. My clients did not utilize that option and are seeking to reintroduce that option today. The current use is not in conflict with any of the surrounding parcels or properties. The current use is compatible with the agricultural zoning surrounding it, as well as I believe there's one parcel that is industrial. While the subject property is in a sensitive aquifer area, the owners have monitoring wells on the property in order to try to protect that. The current proposed use contributes to area development as well as local economy and supports local business. And without further ado, I will examine my plan. So if you would, please state your name and spell your last name for the record.
Owen Powell, Powell.
And how are you affiliated with Powell Gravel?
Employee shareholder.
And are you familiar with the property currently located at 11203 North US Highway 14 in Harvard, Illinois?
Yes.
And how are you familiar with that parcel?
That's where I work.
Okay. Is that where Powell Gravel is located?
Yes.
Okay. And that parcel is currently zoned A1, is that correct?
Yes.
And there is a current conditional use permit in place for earth extraction and mining, is that correct?
Yes.
And you are seeking to extend that conditional use permit today for earth extraction and mining, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this conditional use also, the proposed petition for the conditional use is also reintroducing the crushing of materials, which you did not utilize previously as part of the previous conditional use permit, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the property had, to the best of your knowledge, the conditional use permit on the property had similar conditional uses that were granted as the petition was seeking, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And to the best of your knowledge, the property has been used for earth extraction and mining, at least pursuant to a conditional use since 1991, is that correct?
Yes.
And that current operation on the property predates the 1991 conditional use permit, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Do you believe that the current conditional use permit that we are petitioning for is compatible with the existing uses and zoning of the nearby parcels?
Yes.
And do you believe that the proposed use is compatible with existing and future development in the area?
Yes.
And do you believe that the conditional use permit that you're seeking does not endanger public health, safety, or welfare?
Yes.
And the conditional use permit is not injurious to the enjoyment or use of the surrounding properties and their current permitted use.
Correct.
And the conditional use will not diminish the surrounding property values.
Correct.
And there are currently adequate utilities, access roads, and drainage, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And there is no hazard currently for ingress and egress to the parcel, is that correct?
Correct.
And the conditional use that you are seeking to extend today will continue to conform to applicable zoning regulations with the surrounding area, is that correct?
Yes.
Do you believe that the conditional use is in the best interest of public welfare?
Yes.
And have you or, I should say, anybody that's an agent of Powell Gravel taken adequate measures to protect the groundwater?
Yes.
And does the current use support or contribute to the local economy and support several other industries in the area?
Yes.
And briefly directing your attention to the property, What is to the north of the property?
There is a business to the north of the property, along with farmland to the east. There would be a residence across Route 14, along with multiple farmland properties to the south. There's a residence along with farmland, and then to the west would also just be farmland.
And are you proposing to change anything with the current property's configuration as part of this conditional use permit? Aside from the potential staging area for crushed?
That is correct.
I have nothing further.
Yes, please.
I have no questions, thank you. Thank you.
Within a day, a week. Daily, I would say less than 20.
I have no further questions, Madam Chairman.
Mr. Eldridge?
Do you have any estimate as to the amount of gravel remaining on your facility?
At this time,
I mean, it's kind of a hard thing to speculate over the 80 acres of the property to ascertain how much might be left.
How much the property has been mined to date?
I would say close to 50%.
And would it be accurate to say that over the last dozen years, the mining has been at a pretty slow pace?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Is that right? And we do have these site plans here, and as you can see, it just looks like little lines of complex. So as you tell me, I don't think we keep it on the site.
Does that graphic make it easier to see, or
Sort of.
it would be in like the back half of the property, west.
West.
So,
Okay, so it's as far away as possible.
it's not towards the back of the property.
Okay. Because it does generate some noise, I was just concerned. Disturbing. There's two residences on the side of the across the street. Are those occupied residences?
Yes.
Okay. Should they have any problem with the noise from the crushing? Is there any recourse for them? Can you?
I would say the distance we are away from them is a considerable amount.
Okay.
And I don't see any interference with that.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Madam Chair, can I interject for just one moment? Just so people are not surprised, these microphones are being turned off. They are causing a problem with the recording system. So we're just going to have to project our voices, please. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Schnabel.
Very good, very good.
Exactly how do you crush the concrete for the edification of this hall? What type of machinery is involved?
I guess to start it would be a jaw crusher and a wheel loader. I guess at the time that's all we're using to process it.
I read somewhere in this report that there was a mention of rebar. Can you explain how that process worked? It looked like it was going to be sorted out somehow and recycled. I don't quite see how you do that.
The crushers have a magnet system on it that can extract that stuff as it goes through the machine. It's gathered and recycled.
Is there a lot of dust involved when the concrete's dry?
Not that we've noticed.
Well, I've learned something today. Thank you. On to my next my colleague to my right.
Ms. Beverly?
Thank you. Did you let your neighbors know that you're planning on expanding to crushing?
I guess I personally have not reached out to them.
That was in the 2013 petition, so they would have had notice back then as
They would have had notice,
Yeah.
and they received notice this time too?
Correct.
Okay, that's all I had. Thank you.
And I have no questions. Is any member of the public have a question? Okay, then we'll go to staff report. Ms. Kurtzman.
Okay, for the record, my name is Anna Kurtzman. I'm a senior planner here at the county. The property, as noted, is primarily surrounded by agricultural A1 zoning. There is a little bit of B2 and I1 that are physically adjacent to the property along Route 14. The surrounding land uses, again, are predominantly agricultural in the area with commercial and industrial uses along Route 14. There are a few scattered residences, again, primarily along Route 14 as well. Featured land use for this area is agricultural. There is a creek, stream, whatever you want to call the waterway, that does go through the property, and along that is noted in the featured land use map as a environmentally sensitive area. As noted previously, this property has been mined extensively for generations. So the environmental aspects in this area are already disturbed. There are 4 conditions that staff is recommending. I will note that the previous conditional use permit had something like, I want to say 24 conditions. The vast majority of those were reiterating the standards in the zoning or in the Unified Development Ordinance. I don't know about you folks, but I don't like to have that many conditions to try to read each and every time. So we have consolidated all of that into condition number 2. The standards of the section of code here shall be adhered to is what we have narrowed that down to. We have also recognized that the storage of materials that are mined offsite shall be limited to materials similar to that which would be extracted on the premises. That came from the 2013 ordinance. As was brought to my attention earlier today, there are materials that are going to be on site that are not materials that would be mined on this site, for example, the asphalt. So we are now recommending a different condition, and that is the storage of materials mined off-site shall be limited to materials similar to that which would be extracted on the premises, and concrete and/or asphalt debris, including rebar, brought to the site for recycling. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same conditions that were part of the 2013 ordinance.
Does anyone on the board have a question?
I have questions.
Yes.
With regard to the asphalt debris, that was included because it's intended to be a new business enterprise. It's not part of our ordinance that we regularly permit the asphalt. My concern is that asphalt is comprised of a lot of chemicals, and this is a SARA area, and is there countywide monitoring beyond the wells? Or did Soil and Water Conservation District weigh in on the asphalt recycling aspect of this?
I do not recall that the Soil and Water Conservation Report does or does not address the asphalt. I don't believe it did. In terms of the monitoring, the only monitoring that I'm aware of is the 3 wells that are on the premises.
So did this just come up recently, or was this part of the staff plat review when our water division looked at it too?
So they are aware of it. It was part of their review.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, Mr. Koznick.
Thank you. My question goes to the reclamation plan. Is there a way to link the reclamation plan benchmark to the benchmark that was identified in the Van der Stappen survey?
Okay, so that's technical aspects that beyond my personal knowledge, okay? So I did reach out to the applicant when I got your message earlier today, and would ask that you would ask them that question.
May I do so, Madam Chair? Sure. Thank you. My question is, the Van der Stappen has a very contemporary and accurate benchmark. And I'm sure that the applicant paid for that as well. Is that benchmark tied into, or could be tied into by reference to the reclamation plan prepared by Schmidt Engineering some years earlier?
So I did reach out to Jim Condon and asked him if that was possible to coordinate them. I think what Van der Stappen has is the most up-to-date and accurate. I don't know if they can meet the minds, so to speak, and mesh them together. That I'm not aware of, but I did reach out to ask, and I have not yet heard back since the question came this morning. So my answer to that is, I don't know.
Madam Chairman, I'd like to observe that we, in the conditions under the discussions, that I had the opportunity to present that as a condition. It is not unduly burdensome and is readily available in today's technology, bringing forward that reference.
My only concern is additional costs to my clients. I'm afraid, and I don't want to speak out of turn for them, but that might generate another additional expense to them to coordinate to try to overlap when they've already supplied what was requested.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for staff? Okay, would you have a closing statement?
I do not, I'll waive those.
Okay. So at this time, we will close the hearing portion of the meeting and we'll move to the voting portion of the meeting. Again, this is petition number 2023-036. It's for a renewal of a conditional use permit, 13-26, for earth extraction and mining. The applicant is Powell Gravel and Excavating Incorporated, and the address is 11203 North US Highway 14, Harvard, Illinois. The parcel contains 78.751 acres located 2,000 feet south of State Line Road in Chemung Township. We have 4 proposed conditions. I go through those right now. The first one, the time limit for this conditional use shall be 10 years from the date of approval by the McHenry County Board. Number 2, the standards of section 16.56.030.p of the McHenry County Unified Development Ordinance shall be adhered to. Number 3, I'm going with proposed alternative to number 3 as staff suggested. The storage of materials mined off-site shall be limited to materials similar to that which would be extracted on the premises, and concrete and/or asphalt debris, including rebar, brought to the site for recycling. Number 4, all other federal, state, and local laws shall be met. Are there any other proposed conditions?
Madam Chairman, I have a condition. The condition is that in the reclamation plan submitted, it uses the benchmark that Van der Stappen has established on the site whenever time would come for that reclamation plan to be implemented.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second it.
The motion has been made and seconded. Discussion.
The Van der Stappen has prepared the most accurate benchmark that is not only applicable to this site, but to any adjoining property owner that may be in the area and may have questions in terms of the quality of the work or the compliance of this work. Also, it is readily available as a public record should the county itself or those who are on occasion observing the work of the county need to determine whether or not this petition is being adhered to. A plan has been dutifully filed and still accepted as a reclamation plan, but given its age, it would benefit by having a tie-in to the most contemporary public record available to us at the time, and hence the purpose of my motion.
Is there any other discussion? Yes, Mr. Aldridge.
I seconded this. I'm not entirely sure that I support it under all circumstances, but I take note of the fact that as drafted, it would not take effect for decades into the future. And certainly at least a couple of more renewals of this conditional use. And if after mature consideration petitioner thinks that it would be burdensome for them, they will have an opportunity to speak against it. So in the light of that, I will be voting in favor of this condition.
Any other discussion? Then I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
I'll vote yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so the condition number 5 is approved. Any other proposed conditions?
I move acceptance of the conditions as amended.
I'll second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Ms. Gardner to approve the conditions. Any discussion?
No.
Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so the conditions are approved 7-0. This
Aye.
time we would entertain a
I
motion.
move acceptance of the petition subject to the conditions.
Second.
It's been moved by Mr. Eldridge, second by Mr. Jers to approve this petition subject to the conditions. Discussion, Mr. Eldridge.
Yes, this is a relatively small gravel and sand extraction operation in the northwest portion of McHenry County, very close to the Wisconsin line. It has been there, by my personal knowledge, for well over 70 years. And my father noted when I asked him about it 50 or 60 years ago that it had been there as long as he remembered. So I think that the talk about horse-drawn wagons carrying gravel out of there are probably true. Gravel extraction, gravel mining is one of the most important businesses in McHenry County and has been for as long as I've been paying attention. It is an essential ingredient in really all construction. It is important that we have a variety of sources available. It has provided an enormous number of jobs throughout the county, of which this is a small but noticeable participant. This particular facility has been operated for decades and decades without any serious problems or frankly any problems that I'm aware of. It is on one of the major arterials of the county, so it is a good place to move gravel from to possible construction locations around the county. It is an area with, as noted, 2 residences who live close enough that they might possibly hear something or notice something, which makes it in an area with fewer residences than virtually all other gravel mines in the county. There are additionally a couple of businesses not that far away with whom they have been good neighbors for, frankly, decades. It's been a good operator, and I believe that they have met all of the conditions for all of the standards for conditional use. Their testimony is persuasive to me, and it has been persuasive 4 or 5 times in the past as this conditional use has been approved and reapproved. And for all of the above reasons, I will vote in favor of the petition.
Mr. Churs.
Just reinforcing what Charlie said, I've been up and down those roads for 50 to 60 years. I never so much as noticed dust on the road coming out of here. 20 vehicles a day compared to the average single-family household in McHenry County has 9 trips a day across the driveway. No, 2020 plan was 11. 11 trips a day off a single-family house, and you get 20 trucks coming out of here. It's a minuscule number compared to the traffic on US Highway 14. I'll be in favor of it.
Mr. Cozen.
Madam Chairman, I cannot compete with the timeline that has been laid out for the record, but sufficient to say that I too have traveled what is referred to as Northwest Highway all the way out from Chicago through Wisconsin, and have done so even with another generation in the car who believed at the time that I had traveled that roadway on horse and wagon. Nonetheless, there is a clear point of history that should be made that benefits Algonquin Township of this route. And that is specifically, this route is very old. It was a direct route to Galena when it was no more than a romantic center as it is known today. But more so, it was a route that was deemed to be both necessary for economic benefits to the great state of Wisconsin to the north of us as part of the Best Road movement. And it reached out to the city of Crystal Lake and Algonquin Township to endorse that program, to which the two did, and sought necessity to provide coverage of that roadway, not only for economic purposes, but also for tourism. In fact, this route, before it was known as Illinois 19, was known as the Yellow and Black Transcontinental Highway. From this route, one could go through the Black Hills of the Dakotas all the way to the entrance of Yellowstone National Park. And it is something that we in Algonquin Township recognize, and still many travel all that way. And so traveling all that and not once complaining about a broken windshield or a dusty car certainly demonstrates my support for this petition. Thank you.
Ms. Garten.
What can I say? I have no history lessons for you. I'm in favor of this petition. There's apparently no violations on this business. There's no complaints by neighbors for this business. It is a nice business, thriving, and I'm in favor.
Mr. Schnabel.
I as well will support the petition.
Ms. Beverly.
I'm a little nervous about the asphalt recycling, but adherence with all their state and local laws and their upstanding record of the well monitoring is fine. The EPA has lots of rules on that, so I support the petition.
And I support the petition. I've seen this business in operation for decades, and I know that it's a good family business. It's important for the economy, and they've been good to their neighbors, and they will, I'm sure, continue to do so. And I agree with the comments of my colleagues, and I'm in favor of the request. So I will call to the vote. Mr. Eldridge?
Yes.
Ms. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Cozen?
Yes.
Mr. Schnabel?
Yes.
Ms. Beverly?
Yes.
Mr. Jers?
Yes.
And I will vote yes, so this will go to the county board with a 7-0 vote approving your request. At this time, the hearing is closed.
Well, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Okay, make certain at the far end of the table that you got copies of next week's hearing. So Kurt and Vicky,